Welcome, dear chess friends. My name is David Navara. I'm a Czech Grandmaster, and in this video I want to show you how to calculate, when to calculate and when not. And I hope this will improve your results in tournament play. So at the start I will show with position from game Zubarev-Lechtinsky from Czech Open 2006. This is not a position where one would need to calculate something, but black's king is a bit weak, so white started an attack here. Then white brought his rook towards black's king, and black tried to defend his king and played king f7 to prevent queen h5 from coming. And this is a position where white to move wins. We see that black's king is weakened and that white has several pieces attacking, yet the solution is nice and surprising. White played queen h5 anyway. Black's h7 pawn is attacked, so black sort of has to recapture to take the queen, and now bishop d1 came, and black cannot avoid a mate on h5. Black still took on d5 and then resigned. So you have seen a nice puzzle. You have definitely seen many such puzzles, and now I will show you another one. It's a position which could have appeared in the game Volkova-Píchová from Czech Women's Championship. And if you see it as a puzzle, you will probably find an attractive idea here, which seems to be working, which looks great, just like many puzzles. And namely, if you are familiar with such positions from the Sicilian Dragon, you will know that you should attack along the h-file and try to deliver mate there. And queen h6 looks just so tempting. So tempting, really, because if black takes on c3, for example, there is mate in 2 now, involving a queen sacrifice, because the knight on f6 is pinned. And if black takes on h6, it still looks great because white is threatening mate in 2 once again. And if black's king goes away, there will be rook h8 check, knight g8, white takes and delivers mate again. Yet it doesn't work because black has a surprising counter-strike here, namely bishop a2, opening the road to the e-pawn. And now, after e5, black has a queen for 2 minor pieces, and there is no mate on h7 anymore because the diagonal is blocked by black's e-pawn now, and black is winning. So this is an example that not every nice idea is correct, that practical games are often more difficult than puzzles. I will speak more on this later on in this lecture. And to begin with, I will draw some differences between puzzles and games. Solving puzzles is good, but it is only a part of a healthy chess diet. And solving studies is also good to train your calculation, but again, it is only a part. And I mean, in over-the-board games, you often see completely different situations. And I will show several aspects in which typical games differ a lot from both puzzles and studies. First of all, when you are playing, you are not informed that you should search for a win now. I mean, experienced players often feel that there should be something in the position, especially if the opponents have tactical weaknesses, if your position is active enough, if the opponent has a weak king, you feel that you should start searching for something concrete. But no one tells you. Second, If you know nothing about positional chess and struggle with evaluation, you can still be great in solving puzzles and studies, because in puzzles and studies there are very few positional aspects, and you don't need to evaluate positions very frequently. But in tournament games, you need to understand a lot about positional chess and be able to evaluate positions much better. Third, puzzles and studies mostly have nice and aesthetically pleasing solutions. It's like a sort of poetry. But brilliances are rare in everyday life and often fail. It's everyday life. Tournament games are like a prose. You saw the previous example where the brilliant queen sacrifice was wrong. In tournament games, the lines are mostly more chaotic, less clear, and sometimes calculation is not that important. Understanding might play a bigger role. And finally, puzzles and studies usually contain great ideas, but tournament games are mostly not decided by great ideas, but by unnecessary mistakes and sometimes even silly blunders. I will just come back to the previous game just to show that actually this idea with queen h6 is good, and it's good if you see it, because if white plays knight d5 now instead of this queen h6, then the same variations work much better, because for example, after knight d5, if black takes and takes on a3 now, queen h6 already works. It's not completely straightforward. It's not as simple as what I'm showing to you now, but it gives white a decisive attack here. So seeing nice ideas is certainly good, but you should be careful and don't forget about the opponent's possibilities. But I will speak about this later, so let's start. Many beginners ask us how far do we calculate, and they believe that the farther one calculates, the better. That the difference between big masters and amateurs is in the ability to calculate long, but long calculations are overrated. In fact, it is often much more important to be able to spot all the relevant ideas at the very beginning than to be able to calculate long. I show you an artificial position where one needs to calculate long. This is a position where both sides have a sort of forced moves, maybe not completely, but there is just one line which needs to be calculated far, and which is not too difficult. So such cases exist. There are many nicer studies than this. This is just a random example. But my point is that such cases are very rare in practice, and that normally you don't need to calculate that far. Okay, this is 16 moves. Of course, a strong player is able to calculate it if needed, but such cases are not common.